Oh, hi. I'm Jen, and welcome to my vlog space. And today I have Sean with me.
Hello, hello.
He's going to be helping me out. And we're going to do something kind of fun and different for today's vlog.
Okay.
So, I don't know about you guys, but I get some guilty pleasure out of the Reddit AITA threads. I really enjoy watching videos about those or like just reading them. I guess just to help focus my own moral compass, it really, really helps to read stuff like that. So I decided to check to see if there were any that centered on tap dancing or dance studios now that we own a studio and I've grown up in dance studios. I thought maybe this would be relevant for the channel. So I figured I would give it a try. If you guys like it, please let me know if you want me to do more or if you have stories that you can send me. I would be happy to read them to everybody and then give my thoughts on it. So I figure as somebody who's grown up in dance studios, did the college dance studio thing, and now owns a dance studio, I'm a pretty good authority on like my thoughts on dance studio drama, but also tap dancing. There's a couple. I've only found a couple of tap dance related ones, but yeah.
And then me, I didn't grow up in a dance studio. I just now, in my adult age, I became a professional dancer, and then I also now own a dance studio. So I have a different outlook on these things as well.
Yeah, but you read Reddit a whole lot more than I do.
Yeah.
So it comes into the Reddit perspective.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to use the term, am I the butthole? Instead of the actual word it uses, because number one, this is a family-friendly channel, and number two, I think the word butthole is kind of funny.
Oh, very, very funny.
If you didn't know that about me, I just think it's a funny word. So, here's the first one. Are we ready?
I'm ready. Are you guys ready?
Am I the butthole for practicing my tap dancing? Now, I want to know if any of you can just relate to that sentence as is, because my nickname is Noise Complaint for a reason. So, I, 21 female, am a tap dancer. I know that sounds stupid, but oh well. Let me just stop the writer right there real quick. No, it is not stupid. This is a whole channel of tap dancers that are here to tell you it is not stupid to say that you're a tap dancer. Please omit that from what you wrote, because it's not stupid and nobody should think that. Okay, moving on. We are learning a new combination for my tap class that's somewhat difficult, so I need to practice it at least once or twice a day so that it stays fresh in my mind. I live on the first floor of my apartment, so I have no neighbors below me, luckily, and all my roommates are totally chill with my tap dancing to the point that they ask to watch me tap and have helped me film for auditions before.
That's cool.
Okay, first of all, you live on the first floor? That's awesome. Second of all, you care enough about this performance to practice once or twice a day. Like, that's great. I wish I could get my company members to practice once or twice a day. Did you practice yesterday? No, I was with you and you didn't. I didn't either. But I'm the choreographer, so I know the dance. But no, that's amazing. That's some dedication right there, and your director should be really, really proud of you for that. That's so cool that your roommates are chill with that. I lucked out with that too because I lived with a tap dancer and Alex, who is a tap dancer. So when I started practicing, the worst thing that would happen is that they would join me, which for the most part was kind of nice. But if I'm practicing something unrelated, you guys get out.
Yeah.
But yeah, so far, I'm loving this. No downstairs neighbors. It's great. Okay. If there are any tap dancers out there, there's a specific section in the dance where I am doing the shim sham followed by a buck triple time step. And then it goes on to say, for non-tappers, this is a very popular combination that has very specific accented sounds that are kind of loud, and buck time steps are also kind of loud. All of that is true. I love that your dance is incorporating classic things like the shim sham and the buck triple time step. Those can get a little loud because you are going to have to stomp and then stamp, 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 stamp a lot, you know? So, and we are doing it extremely fast. So I'm practicing it often to get the correct tempo for our combination. I never practice before 12 p.m. or after 8 p.m. That's great.
That's good on you.
That's really responsible to choose hours when people would be at work, but also like when people are not going to be trying to sleep. That's amazing. And I try to do my practice all at once for about an hour or so. Well, my next door neighbor that I share a wall with, we have very thin walls, came and banged on our door demanding to know who was making loud clicking sounds, saying that it was incredibly annoying and distracting. I said it was me and tried to explain my situation, but they yelled at me, saying that I was being a disrespectful butthole neighbor by making so much noise. Keep in mind, our rehearsal space is only open to us during class and for about an hour afterwards on the days that we have class. All other rehearsals are expected to be done at home on our own. Otherwise, I'd rather go to my studio and practice. Am I the butthole? I feel bad for upsetting my neighbor, but I feel like there's not much I can do, and I try to be as respectful as I can. Mm-hmm. And then there's an edit. A commenter told me it might be important to note that I do not live in normal residential apartments. I live in an off-campus apartment in a college town. There's a lot of noise here most of the time, whether it be parties, music, things that people are doing, loud arguing and laughing and screaming. You get my drift. In my lease, the only thing it said about noise is that the quiet hours are from 10 p.m. to 8 a.m. on weekdays, and anything in between those times is free game. Mm-hmm. Okay. This is how I earned my nickname of Noise Complaint and why I then gifted the nickname to my company. Mm-hmm. I lived on the 3rd floor, and I would repeatedly just make my neighbors angry with all the tap dancing that I would do and stuff. Now, I'm not going to get into the fact that I was a butthole when I was in college and I wasn't kind enough to like do it at the right hours or not all the time. And I did have downstairs neighbors. You know, I did it the wrong way. Mm-hmm. Honestly, this person did everything right by choosing good hours, and they needed to practice. There was really not a whole lot that they could do. However, I have some solutions that could help in this situation. And this was 7 months ago when it was posted, so I don't know how helpful this is going to be or if they're even going to find this. But one thing that you could do, if you know that you have to practice tap dance at home and you know you have neighbors, take the initiative before you start practicing. Knock on your neighbor's door. Say, hey, I need to practice my tap dance. I have this availability to do that. Which hour? If I had to do this once a day, which hour is the best for you for me to do that? That way they can tell you, oh, well, every day I work till 5, so anytime between 12 and 4 is perfect. I'm not home. Mm-hmm. I did that with my last, when we lived in the apartment. Mm-hmm. Our new downstairs neighbor that moved in, I went to them and I was like, hey, so I'm a tap dancer and I do a lot of workouts at home. What is a good time frame when you're not home or you don't have like a baby that's trying to nap or something? And then they gave me specific hours that worked the best. Mm-hmm. And I used those hours to do my practicing, my choreography, my heavy workouts, that kind of thing. So taking the initiative and getting to know your neighbors and saying, hey, I'm going to be annoying for an hour a day. Mm-hmm. I'm really sorry about it, but there's nothing I can do about it. It's like if you have a dog that barks, what can you really do about that? Mm-hmm. You know? So say, hey, an hour a day I'm going to be annoying. Please select the hour that works best for you, or give me some options so that when I talk to my other neighbor, I get their options and I pick the hour that works the best. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. What would you do?
I'm coming from the Reddit side of this.
Oh, no.
Where I've lived in apartments, I've lived in houses, I've lived in duplexes. You can't control somebody's child at any point. I can't go knock on someone's door because at 3 o'clock in the morning or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, that kid is running around playing. I've had kids up above me. I've had kids next to me. I've had dogs running around and I could hear them. So here's the thing. Your noise ordinance, apparently for this area, is from 10 p.m. to 8 a.m. when it's quiet.
I understand.
As long as you are within that time frame, technically they don't have a right to yell at you. However,
okay,
Jen is correct. You should just go just to clear the air.
Be a good neighbor.
Yeah, be a good neighbor. That way there's no chance of it, A, interrupting you, or B, like, what if you're on a time crunch that day and you're like, oh, I have to practice this hour.
I have class at 6. I need to get it done before 6.
And then you're in the middle of it, and then they come over and they start yelling at you, and then that takes up your whole time.
Or heaven forbid, if it was me and I was filming for YouTube, right, and somebody knocks on the door in the middle of me filming, I literally have to throw out that whole segment.
Yeah.
Like, that would just destroy me.
So, technically, you were in the right with not asking, technically. However, it is best practice to get that information, just so that way you don't have to deal with, like you said, like, you know, someone coming pounding on the door when you're in the middle of it. Like, what if you have a big, like, audition that you're about to go to and you're trying to run it? Now you're riled up and razzled because of this person pounding on your door. You're not focused on your dance. You could screw up the audition. So it's better to just be in the forefront of just, hey, let's do this. Technically, like I said, you're in the right, but it would save you so much more headache. I don't think you're the butthole.
I definitely don't think you're the butthole. Bento's a butthole, but I don't think that you are. I think that this is a good thing for all the tap dancers on this channel to learn from, because I know a lot of people have asked me about, like, hey, I have downstairs neighbors. How am I supposed to tap? I have neighbors that are mad at me because, I mean, essentially you're making hammering sounds for an hour straight. That is annoying. I'm going to just go ahead and say that, especially if you're learning something and it's not very rhythmically pleasing right away. You know what I'm talking about?
Me learning
right,
maxi
Bento?
Fords.
Right? Back in the day.
Yeah.
So definitely clear it with your neighbors first about what time is a good time. You would be taking a good step forward. And from that point on, the ball is in their court and they can't yell at you unless they say, hey, you can't do that at all during the day. I'm a night nurse and I have to sleep during the day. Then you go, okay, now I have a problem. You can seek out alternatives, or you can do it silently at home. You don't technically need to be tap dancing with tap shoes. It just depends on the situation, you know? Just to practice. I choreograph in sneakers a lot. I picked that up from living in apartments. So anyway, there are some replies that I can read. Basically, they've been dubbed not the butthole. One person said, as you have said, you guys have thin walls, then nothing can be done. Actually, see soundproofing solutions like acoustic panels and stuff. This is not just useful for tap dancing, but for other stuff.
Loud video games. Yeah.
And apparently the person that posted is very tired of hearing their neighbors do things. Those of us that have been to college, you know what I'm talking about. Somebody says, I understand this is your place and you don't really have any other options, but I also understand your neighbor's complaint. Even with it being in the middle of the day, I feel like an hour of nonstop clacking is just too much. However, you are not the butthole. So the consensus is you're not in the wrong, but they understand your neighbor's perspective. So the best thing to do, just clear some good time with neighbors on both sides, up, down, whatever. Clear it with everybody and find the best time. I really admire your dedication to making sure that you had that piece. Like, as a tap choreographer and director, I admire that. Thank you for being that dancer. It's a tough thing. Tap, there's no way to practice it without bothering somebody. And kudos to your roommates, by the way, for being cool with it.
If you have a raised floor, put a blanket or something underneath it.
Yes,
that's what we did.
I have a rug and a fuzzy blanket underneath my floor. It is still super loud though, especially since I have a wood floor underneath that.
But it probably dampened the sound by 30 to 40% easily.
And you can also look into like soundproofings for the wall and stuff like that. But that's a pricey solution, and this person's in college, so yeah. All right, we ready for another one?
I'm down.
Okay, this is dance studio related. Am I the butthole for removing my daughter from her dance school? Ooh, as studio owners, this one might be tough. My daughter, we'll call her Sarah. She's 14. Always loved dancing. She started classes around 5 years old and has been in them consistently ever since. She's won competitions over the years and worked really hard to get into a dance school that ranks very highly in our state. So we're looking at like a competition studio.
Oh, okay.
I'm not exactly a stage mom. I just see it makes her happy, and I told her as long as she keeps her grades up, I'll always be there to help make her dreams happen. She plans to go to an academy in New York when she graduates, and I really want to see her make it there. That's sweet. That's super supportive. Sarah started her new school about 4 months ago. At first, everything was great. She would come home exhausted but excited. After a few weeks, she would start coming home just exhausted and moody, or sometimes down on herself if she missed a count, etc. I tried asking if everything was okay, and she would just brush it off, saying they're training extra hard for a competition, or she's just trying to push herself more. Last week, I was a bit early to pick up Sarah after practice, so I just sat in the parking lot and read. I noticed a lot of parents do that. I noticed a girl run out of the doors crying and heaving. I met her to make sure she was okay and not dehydrated or having an anxiety attack. She muttered, "Mrs. X is so evil," and walked away. X is like, I guess what they're using for the teacher's name. Fair. Miss X is so evil, and then the girl walked away. The rest of the team started streaming out before I could go after her or ask what happened. Sarah got into the car looking a bit shaken. I asked if anything happened I should know about, and she said no. I asked if Miss X ever yells at her or hurts anyone. She shook her head and stayed quiet the rest of the ride. I got a recorder that night and hid it in Sarah's gym bag and turned it on when I handed her the bag when dropping her off, hoping that it would pick up something, since they're usually left along the wall in the same room that they dance in. When she got home the next day, I took it out and listened. All was normal until I heard what sounded like someone falling and Miss X berating the girl, calling her horrible names and such. Later, I even heard Miss X tell the girl to lose weight or she's done, and she doesn't care how it happens. I am trying to remain calm, okay? Because that right there, that triggers me. I've been spoken to that way before, and that absolutely hurts. So I will get through the rest of this. Obviously, I told Sarah she will not be going back and we will find a new place. I also sent an anonymous email to the board Miss X is certified through and just got a basic "we'll look into it" response. Sarah flipped her lid, freaking out, saying her future is over and Miss X was preparing them for the real world, and I'll never understand. She said she'll never be one of the best now. Just full meltdown I've never seen before. It scared me, and it made me double down because in my head this proved she had way too much pressure on her and none of it was healthy for her. Her dad says I should let her go back. I argued that we can afford a school just as nice or even better, so it shouldn't matter in the long run. Sarah barely looks at me. Should I have let her stay and just watch her closely? Am I the butthole? I have a lot of initial thoughts, okay? First, was it legal for her to put a recording device in her daughter's bag?
No. You cannot record somebody's audio. Audio is illegal to record without... Now, consult your state or your city before taking legal advice from us.
That is not admissible in court, I don't think. However, if you're not getting a straight answer out of your daughter and you're worried for her safety, I am okay with that action. As long as, like, I mean, the problem is you could have heard information another student said that shouldn't have been said out loud to anyone, you know, like, that was probably not a great idea. I'll just say that could have been done a different way. I'll say that you are a butthole for that move, but the rest of it, I don't think so. I completely agree with taking your daughter out of this school. As someone who was in a dance school where the school itself overall was great. It was absolutely great. But there was one teacher that did these things. He would berate the students. I was a little differently shaped when I was younger, and I got publicly berated for my body shape in front of the rest of the class when I was in ballet. My mom was livid. Absolutely livid, because I went home and told her because I was just so embarrassed and so upset. I came home crying, and what's a mom gonna do when your daughter comes home crying from dance class and says, well, the teacher called me fat in front of everybody, and I was just in tears. My mom pulled me from ballet, although she asked if I wanted to be pulled from ballet, and I said yes. So she agreed and pulled me from ballet. I stayed at the studio because the rest of the studio was wonderful. It was just that one teacher, just that one. Man, this is really tragic because you have this girl that loves dance and wants to be a professional dancer and goes to what I see as a very unhealthy environment. If girls are coming out of class crying, if they're just, you know, putting extra pressure on themselves or whatever, that's not good. And from what I can infer, if it started out fine and then it got intense to the point where she starts coming home exhausted and sad, or exhausted and like just really internally like focused and kind of upset a lot, that tells me it's getting close to competition season. And that teacher is getting harsher and harsher as it gets close to competition. This is a tough one. Like, I don't think that this parent is in the wrong for pulling her kid from what seems like a very unhealthy situation, especially since the recording let her know that very not okay things were said in class. I don't agree with doing the recording. But now that you know that, I definitely agree with pulling your kid from that class.
The fact is that your kid is, from what I can tell, and I've seen this with different things in my life, where you are in an environment, your daughter is in there, and they're telling her, we're the best, we're going to get you where you need to go, you have to be like this is the real world. So basically they're telling the kid that they have no other option other than them, and they're beating it in their brain, and every time they mess up they say, look, this is why you shouldn't, this is why you don't deserve it. And it plays in their head. What is the syndrome where it's like the people are like in a hostile environment?
Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah, but then they feel like they need to go back, or they're going to get in trouble, or they're going to miss out. That
right there reminds me that I taught for a studio like that. Mm-hmm. I didn't knowingly teach for a studio like that, and as soon as I realized that it was like that, I got out. Mm-hmm. But I now teach the same kids that were at that studio in a much healthier environment. Mm-hmm. So I still have those kids that, I hope I explained that correctly. I taught them when we were in an unhealthy environment, and all of us got out and are now in a beautiful, mm-hmm. healthy environment. They're all in therapy. Mm-hmm. They're all in intense therapy. And a few of them that definitely wanted to be professional dancers are no longer dancing, mm-hmm. because they can't bring themselves to go back to that unhealthy place, mm-hmm. in their minds. This is just bad in so many ways. This story, I feel so bad for this poster and her daughter. I agree that she should have pulled her kid. Yeah. There are other schools that will help her in a very healthy way get to be a professional dancer.
In the moment, your daughter's going to be mad at you because she feels like, because of what they told her, that you took away all of her future opportunities.
Her only chance to be a pro. Yeah. You took away her only chance to do it. And
because that's what they're telling these kids, so that these kids will stay in there and keep getting money and things like that.
Yeah.
But when she finds a place that she's happy in and that she loves, you said the daughter's 14?
Yes.
When she finds a place that she fits and that's good for her, it's going to reignite that love for dance.
Yeah.
And that's going to make her dance better, stronger, faster,
you're
beautiful.
Pulling her out before she loses her love for dance. Because mm-hmm. like I said, a few of those people, they refuse to dance. Mm-hmm. Students that told me that they wanted to be a professional and they could. Mm-hmm. They could be professional and they just don't dance anymore. Mm-hmm. And that's so sad. And thank goodness that there were teachers like me and the person who owns the studio where I teach now, where all of the students went, and it's a much healthier environment. Thank goodness there were teachers like us mm-hmm. to be there to like not be that way mm-hmm. in an unhealthy environment. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it does.
So I'll read some of the comments.
Yeah, I don't think that you're the butthole for pulling your daughter. Your daughter probably feels like you are, but you're not.
I don't think so. And I'm sure that a lot of the viewers would agree, mm-hmm. for sure. So somebody commented, Sarah flipped her lid, freaking out, saying her future is over. They're quoting this. Saying her future is over and that Miss X was preparing them for the real world and I'll never understand. This person says, that is a classic sign of abuse, mm-hmm. as you said. Mm-hmm. It happens in any abusive relationship, but it's often best recognized in abusive romantic relationships. The teacher is isolating her students and making them dependent on her so she can continue to abuse them. They'll keep coming back. They'll keep tolerating her abuse because they believe her when she tells them she's the only key to their success. Mm-hmm. Classic abuse. Pull your kid from there as soon as mm-hmm. possible. I wish that people weren't vague and posted the names of studios mm-hmm. and teachers just so that like authorities can get involved, because this is a bad situation.
I hope you go and start talking to the parents that are dropping off the kids.
Yeah. You are doing the right thing. There are plenty of good, great, better teachers out there that don't use abusive methods, but seriously, you need to know that this is abuse and it's just as real and just as harmful for a dance teacher to do this as it would be for a boyfriend. You're not the butthole. Mm-hmm. And then somebody else said, not the butthole. Your daughter isn't really wrong when talking about the real world, because this type of abuse is pretty common with dancers, athletes, and models. Mm-hmm. That hurts to say, but it's getting so much better mm-hmm. now that mental health has a light mm-hmm. shined on it. It's getting so much better. But as somebody who was a professional dancer in the 2000s, late 90s, 2000s kind of thing, yeah, that is actually pretty real. I got told things I should never have been told in the real world, in music, dance, all of it. I've been told things that I should never have been told. Mm-hmm. But now it's way less common. Mm-hmm. and people are taking it less. You know?
People are standing up for themselves.
Yes. That said, I think you're right to protect your daughter. Just because it's normal doesn't mean this abuse should be accepted. I'd watch out for...
Normal is in quotations.
Yeah, I'd watch out for all of her habits. So, I definitely dub this not the butthole. For sure.
You protected your child and hopefully open up eyes for other parents.
Yeah.
So
we got time for one more to lighten the mood.
Let's do it.
That went pretty dark, but like... that happens. And, you know, you guys don't have to, like, confess anything, but if you want to tell me your story of how you were in a similar situation or you've had friends or family members in that situation, you can DM me. I'm happy to hear about it. I'm happy to talk to you about it. I have been in Sarah's position before, and I have students who have been in Sarah's position very recently, and it's not something you just get over at all. So, all right, last one. Let's make this, okay. Let's find a good one. There we go. Here's a good one. It's not as heavy. Would I be the butthole if I put my daughter in a different dance studio than my stepdaughter? Okay, off the bat, not really sure how to feel, but it's all right. I, 29, have one daughter. She's 4. So, okay, this is worded weirdly, but like the poster has a daughter with her husband, and the daughter is 4 years old.
Okay.
Her husband used to be married to someone else, and they have a daughter together who is 12. So she has a daughter, 4 years old, stepdaughter, 12 years old. Translating. My daughter has recently been begging to start dance lessons since her grandma showed her pictures and videos of me dancing when I still took lessons. She is also obsessed with the Barbie movies, which all revolve around ballet. I'm super happy that she's taken to dance because I loved dance when I was a kid. I brought this up with my husband, and he said that I should enroll her in the same dance school as my stepdaughter. I have a couple of problems with this. Number one, my stepdaughter's studio is highly competitive, and it's a very big commitment for a 4-year-old. What kind of classes do they have for a 4-year-old?
Is there a 4-year-old division for competition?
At our studio, 4-year-olds do like creative movement.
Our 4-year-olds run out of the room and yell at me and go, "I'm a princess."
And we go, "Yes,
yeah, you are." Like,
all right, so it's a big commitment for a 4-year-old. I also don't want her to lose her love for dance because of the pressure to win. Who's letting 4-year-olds compete? What do they do? What do they do on stage? We're lucky if our kids can make it through a recital at 4 years old, okay? Like, they're just happy that they're Tutu Sparkles.
They're just going to stand there and wave.
All right, so B, I don't like the costumes that my stepdaughter's studio dresses their children in. Think bra tops or leotards without tights or a skirt. On even the little ones. That is everyone's preference. I know that we are a bit more conservative when it comes to that. I am a big fan of tights on all dancers, and I don't like 2-piece costumes, especially under like 16. But that's just me. And everyone is entitled to their own opinion about how they feel about costumes. But if that goes against her moral compass as far as what she wants her 4-year-old in, yeah, don't bring her to that studio. Like, if that studio doesn't fit what you want for your daughter, it's not a good fit. It's no brainer. And C, I have a close personal connection to a different studio in town because I danced at it for years after I moved to this town and taught there for a couple years after I graduated as well. Okay, those all sound like good reasons.
Yeah.
First, she doesn't want her daughter, 4 years old, going to a competitive studio for 4-year-olds. She doesn't want her daughter going to a studio where the attire does not fit her own moral compass. And number 3, she has a tie to another studio for a personal reason. Those are great reasons.
Especially the fact that it's a studio that she went to.
Right? And taught at.
Yeah, it's not like it was just a studio that she knew like, a girl who works at. You know?
If I had a kid, I would want to bring my kid to either the studio that I teach at or obviously the one that I own. But like, forget that I own one. Like, I would probably pick one that
you're associated with.
Associated with or that I have good feelings about because of personal connection, you know? I brought this up with my husband, and he said it would cause unhealthy competition between the girls as well as if they were at different competitions on the same day. I wouldn't be able to bring the girls to both competitions. I pointed out that I very rarely have to bring my stepdaughter to a competition anyway. Plus, the studio I want my daughter to go to doesn't send their dancers to competitions anyway till they're at least 8, at which point the 12-year-old would be 16 and wouldn't need rides. But he said that he's more worried about how the girls dancing at different studios would pit them against each other, even if their age gap meant that they never directly competed against each other. The studio I'd like my daughter to go to is also known to go head-to-head with my stepdaughter's studio at competitions. Okay, I understand. Those two studios do compete. Mm-hmm. I get how the dad can see that as a conflict. The studio I'd like my daughter to go to, is also known head-to-head. Yeah, just said that. My husband has since gotten his stepdaughter's mom involved too, and she's been texting me saying that I'm asking for the girls to have a bad relationship and that I should be thinking about my family and not just my daughter. I'd like to think that my stepdaughter would be mature enough not to get competitive towards a little kid, especially since she'll be 16 by the time my daughter starts competing. And my daughter adores her big sister, and I don't think would ever try to contradict her, but now I'm not sure that this is the right decision since all of my family is telling me I'm going to hurt their relationship. Would I be the butthole? Yeah, I'm going to go with no. Actually, I agree. Mostly, if it was my kid and this studio does not fit the values that I have, competitively and costume-wise, that makes the decision for me. Like, hands down, if I brought my daughter to that studio and she had to wear a 2-piece with no tights and she was 6 years old, I'd be like, yeah, I'm not comfortable with that. So she's just not going to do the dance then. And then I would that would cause all kinds of problems. And that's just me. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that if that is something that is fine for you. That's my personal preferences. I know a lot of people in the dance teacher networks and stuff, they get very heated about tights versus no tights, and they'll start calling each other bad names if they do one or the other. No, this is my preference. Absolutely my preference. I'm 40 years old and I still dance in tights. Like, I refuse to dance without tights or leggings on, but that's, again, my preference. Just stating that. Honestly, I agree with the poster. I agree with the OP here that she should at least for now, put her daughter in the other studio. What difference does it make now? She's 4. Like, let her grow up a little bit there, and then if she wants to compete more or if she wants to go to her big sister's studio, put her in the other studio. But, she's 4. It's not going to cause any issues at 4.
And even... What do they say? They don't even bring kids to competition till 8 at that studio?
Yeah, so she won't even have this problem till she's 8. At 8, transfer her to the other studio if it's a problem.
In 4 years, she's not going to be in the same division as her 16-year-old sister at 8.
No, she's not. And if it becomes a competitive issue between the two girls, or it becomes a competitive issue in which competition are we going to go to, who are we going to root for, transfer her then. It's not a big deal. She's 4. And is this problem going to happen if maybe one dancer decides to go to, I'm going to use schools that I know as an example, decides to go to University of Florida, and then the other dancer gets into University of Georgia? Are you not going to let the one who got a full ride to Georgia go to Georgia because it might cause competitive issues with the fact that your other sister goes to Florida? I'm making a Bauman reference. Yeah. Is that gonna extend into that? This is a little ridiculous in my opinion, because she's 4 and it's just a dance studio. I say this as an owner of one. We have a dancer at our studio whose sibling goes to a different studio because they have a different offering over there that the sibling wanted. As the studio owner, I don't have a problem with this. At all. And the parent doesn't have a problem with it. The 2 siblings, I guess, I don't know if it's that they offered a different class time for her or that her friends go there. I want to say it's that her friends go there.
But yeah, the fact is that there's never going to be a time where they're going to be competing in the same category for it to even be competition between each other. But even if you take out the fact that you taught or that you went to that other studio, the fact is that 2 of those things that you listed, the costumes and the competitive nature, are against what you want for your child.
Yeah.
That doesn't make you the butthole. Or
that
won't
really wouldn't make you the butthole if you followed what you wanted for your daughter. Now, I I love that that's what you wanted for your daughter, and you're not imposing that on your stepdaughter.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
I love that you're willing to say, if that's what you two want to do to raise your child, that yes, is my stepdaughter,
Mm-hmm.
but that is your decision to make.
Mm-hmm.
I actually love that.
Yeah.
But it is your decision what to do with your daughter.
Me personally,
There's nothing wrong with this post. I have no issues with this post.
I would put my child in the one that I wanted, and then in a couple years, or even let's say that the child's there for a year and goes, I really want to go into the same studio as my big sister. Then I would move them if that's what they really wanted. But I would get them started in the one that I felt that they needed to start off in.
I'm going to read a couple comments. Somebody said, this is bizarre logic. They're 8 years apart. Do they really think a 16-year-old won't be able to control her competitiveness with the younger one when she's 8? Teach them how to have respect for humans. The competitiveness in recreational dance while they're children is teaching them how to deal with adversity as adults, which sounds like your husband lacks since he decided to get his ex-wife involved. Ooh.
I didn't even think about that. The fact that he was like, you tell my wife what to do.
Oh, okay. I mean, because the concern is also with the competitiveness between the two girls. I actually think the ex-wife should have been involved. I'm glad that she was brought into the conversation. I don't like the ganging up, but like, I don't know. I'm not here to give marriage advice, just dance advice. Somebody said, it sounds like he doesn't want the limelight taken away from his daughter. I didn't get that from this, but it's okay. My thing over here is one of them is 4. And if you're worried about a 4-year-old and a 12-year-old getting competitive with each other, that starts at home. That is a family value you guys need to be teaching at home, to cheer the other person on. What if one of them wanted to do cheerleading and the other one wanted to do gymnastics? They're similar, but they're never going to be on the same team. Teach them to cheer for each other. You know, like my brother did bowling and I did dance, and my mom had to choose sometimes whether to go to my competition or my brother's bowling tournament. Sometimes you gotta choose, you know? Like, oh, I don't know. What if we have to go to 2 different competitions on the same day? So you do. If you have multiple kids that do multiple things, you're gonna have conflicts. It's just a thing. Like, have one parent go to one parent go to the other, and send each other videos. Like, it's a thing.
Like one of the members of our company, he dances and his brother wrestles.
Oh yeah, his mom constantly has to decide if she's gonna be able to go to one or the other because they happen on the same weekend. They happen on the same day. It's just what you do as a parent. That's it.
One parent takes one way and one takes the other one.
If there's only one parent, then you get family friends or grandparents involved, and there's ways to work it out. Every family deals with this. Somebody says, I think if she put the 4-year-old with the 12-year-old now, they'd have so many more problems. They will consistently be compared to each other by the dance instructor. That's not an invalid concern. I think that this commenter hit a nail on the head in that if it is a very competitive studio where 4-year-olds compete, it's so crazy to me that a 4-year-old would.
Like,
I mean,
how do we do that? How do we start that? Because
there are studios that have 4, 5, 6-year-olds compete, but like, I would hope at a recreational level, and that you're not going to be like the caricature of Abby Lee Miller. I'm not saying she's a bad person. I'm saying the caricature that they portrayed of her. If you're going to have somebody like that, like telling them, you will get your triple pirouette, and the freaking dancer's 4. Like, I'm sorry, this is just so funny to me.
I see the little 4-year-old like set up to go do the pirouette and then just wave at the audience.
Okay, so from a parental perspective, and I'm trying to like conjure one up from somewhere. If this were my kid, I would feel the exact same way as the OP does, and not want my daughter to go to a studio that does not align with my core values and what I want for my daughter. And I would also want my kid to go to one that I had a personal connection to. Like, there's no bad reason you're doing this. So on that level, I agree with her. On a dance teacher level, I see no issue with 2 dancers going to 2 different studios at all. And if you think that there's going to be a problem between the 2 being competitive with each other, again, that starts at home. And that is a great way to teach them the lesson of good sportsmanship and supporting one another.
Yeah. I think you're going to have more competition between them and more sibling rivalry if they're at the same studio.
I agree. I've seen it.
If they have a recital And think about it. Look at the age difference. The little one's going to do a cute dance. Well, it's not going to be a
4.
technically sound dance. It's not going to be, anything crazy. It's going to be a cute dance.
But she's going to get the biggest applause.
But the older one is going to do bigger and better tricks and things like that, and just a big old choreography.
She's 12.
Because she's older, and so she's got more experience. Then afterwards, people are going to come up and go, "Oh, your dance was so cute. Oh my gosh, you did so good. You're everything." And they're going to start.
Or it'll be the opposite.
Yeah,
it'll be, "Wow, your dances were great. Oh, honey, you were so adorable with your little lollipop."
In one way or the other, it's going to cause that other one to go, "Well, was mine not as good?"
Yeah.
Because there is such an age difference.
I've seen the sibling rivalry in the studio as a dancer, as a teacher, and as a studio owner now. I've seen it in the dance studio. I have two sets of sisters in the same class. My tap 3 class, we had 2 sets of sisters in the same class. I couldn't get a word in with these two couples. The rivalry was real in class. And then we also had like an older and then a younger, like a senior and then a 13-year-old at the same studio. They didn't really take the same classes, but you could see the comparison. The teachers weren't comparing, but their friends were. They were comparing each other. And it's real. It's almost, it could be better. If you're worried about competitiveness, then I would separate them. And again, I go back to the Bauman thing. There's 2 gymnasts. One of them went to Florida. The other one went to Georgia, and they actually competed against each other.
Several times. And the parents not only were supportive of this, the sisters cheered each other on as they competed against each other. Like this was amazing. I'm a huge fan of these gymnasts, by the way. It's Alyssa and Rachel Bauman. Huge fan of them, not only because of the way that they do gymnastics, but also because of their sportsmanship with each other. That was just the most beautiful thing. So, okay, sorry, we went off on a little bit of a tangent, but yeah, I dubbed the Not the Butthole. Not the future butthole.
I hope that you guys found this like fun, and if you want more, I'd be happy to do more. I'm sure that there's more tap dance ones. They are much more rare than dance studio ones. If you have posts you want to send me and get my opinion on, I'm happy to make another one of these videos. We have a lot of fun with the Reddit video watching, so we figured let's make one ourselves. It did go a little longer than I expected it to, so yeah. But anyway, thanks for joining us. If you're not already subscribed to this channel, hit that subscribe button and join the Tap fam. We've got weird videos like this where we go on Reddit. I figured I'd try the trend. Why not? But mostly this channel is here for tutorials. So if you want to learn how to tap dance, I've got choreography tutorials, step tutorials where you can learn one step at a time, technique exercises that are great if you're a dance teacher, if you need ideas for across the floor or center, or if you want to give yourself a tap class. You can pick a step tutorial to warm up with, do a technique exercise, and then learn a choreography competition right here on this channel. You just gave yourself an entire class. And I'm really happy to be your YouTube tap teacher. So definitely subscribe for all the tap dance content, but also hit the thumbs up if you enjoyed this, because this was kind of fun. Like, that middle one was a doozy, though. I'm not going to forget that.
Yeah.
Like, that hit me.
Yeah. Also, leave a comment below and tell us how you feel. Like,
yeah, tell me what you think. Do you think that I dubbed these correctly as not the buttholes? And if you have a funnier word that maybe fits with dance instead of butthole, let me know. Because I was thinking like, I am not the assemblée, but I'm like, wait, that an assemblée is a good thing. So like, help me out, okay? So yeah, subscribe, hit the thumbs up. I had a lot of fun with you. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
And as always, thank you for dancing with me.